Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today, guys, we are going to be jumping down into the charts for Cardano to talk about what happened yesterday and what I think is likely to happen next. As I get into this video, if you do find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. And if you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you are going to be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, links in the description down below. Fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. Right, let's jump right down into this and take a look at what's been going on here with Cardano's ADA, right? So we're on the daily chart, so we're actually on the hourly chart, if I get my words out properly. We're paired up with USDT, and Binance is our data source, okay? Essentially, we had 5 waves, 3 waves, 5 waves, and this really complex kind of correction here. So I think essentially what we've got here is a complete breakdown on Cardano, and this move is an interesting one. And it's interesting for a couple of reasons, right? Because we had good structure coming up here with a 5-wave move, a correction, and then a 5-wave move, a correction, and then essentially, not quite a 5-wave move. But I do think we've actually now come to completion of the 5th wave in there. So essentially missing our target of 126.7, we went up to 124.6. This means that Cardano is not impulsive on our daily chart, okay? So just some impulsive moves on the hourly, but not impulsive on the daily. Now, this is a complex correction, and we need to be mindful over what this might mean, okay? Because with this, this would be a stereotypical kind of 4th wave move, but we should have moved in the other direction, right? Instead, we pulled back down. Now, this move to the downside here has effectively taken us lower than this 5th wave high. So this would basically have been like, let's say this is a wave 1 and this was a wave 2. And if this was wave 4, it was never allowed to cross this wave 1 high, okay? This 5th wave just here. Effectively, that would be about $1.16, right? So by crossing that, you've broken the structure of this move here. Alternatively, though, the other positive, the other takeaway from this is that essentially what we might have is some kind of complex correction going on here that still allows us to hit that higher point, okay? But I don't know what that's going to look like. It's going to be choppy, if anything, right? It hasn't followed the structure that you would expect to see. So therefore, we should be mindful that maybe it doesn't actually go up there. But there are a couple of indicators that are telling me that we are looking for a move up. Obviously, the structure isn't there, so I would imagine that it would be like ABC moves, maybe a couple of impulsive ones, but it won't follow the right structure that you'd expect to see within an impulsive move of the 5th wave. Nonetheless, we can talk you through what's going on here, right? So basically, this is an ABC correction coming down into this low point just down here, right? A big A, B, C. Now, obviously, you might be thinking, is that an impulsive move going down? No, it isn't. It hasn't met the threshold, fortunately. Okay, so again, we've just measured the distance here and here. We'll go ahead and just transpose that over to this section, and then I'll grab a horizontal ray and I'll just throw that right on there, and then I'll delete the fib off of here, and then we'll just zoom in for a second right down here. You can see how we narrowly missed it just here. So essentially, we've just missed the trigger point for going impulsive down in the same way that we missed the trigger point for going impulsive up. Okay, so interestingly enough, yeah, it's just a C wave at this point. Then we have the subwave counts that completes the move. This looks like an ABC, and it is possible that we continue this move to the downside here. And if that would be then a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, we could get a huge breakdown, which would basically be a bigger correction on our daily chart for Cardano. Okay, so just keep that in the back of our heads, potentially. Now, this move to the upside could also turn impulsive. We've got the momentum behind some of the larger timeframes to say that we could be moving up. Okay, but we also want to be mindful that we could also move down. So what I'm going to do is to try to narrow down our scope here is I'm going to bring back the stochastic RSI. We can see that we're heading up into the overbought area as we've been pushing on up. Now, if I throw the volumes on here, you can see that basically there was an increased selling pressure as the price was pulling back down. And basically, as we have, let me just throw that back on there, as we've pushed the price up, the volumes have dropped down. That's basically meant that the stochastic RSI can move quickly to the upside and essentially become overbought. So we should be thinking, okay, well, if the sentiment is going to be sell rather than buy, then we are probably going to fall down harder than we are going to be pushing on up. Now, when we throw the 4-hourly stochastic RSI in here, though, we actually see that we're heavily oversold, which is telling me that actually on the 4-hourly chart, there's a loss of volume on the slightly larger time frame here as the price is pulling down, meaning that it's running out of momentum on the selling side. Okay, so there's some short-term 1-hour sellers, but there aren't many 4-hour sellers. Okay, so essentially when you aggregate all that data together, we're actually looking like we might get a reversal on the 4-hourly. That's really interesting. So basically that tells us that we're going to expect some really short-term volatility, but actually on the slightly larger time frame, we're looking okay. And the same concept here, again, on our 8-hourly chart, right? We've got a decrease on the last 3-hourly the first 3 8-hour candles here, during that selling pressure, the volumes have been decreasing. We're already oversold. There's going to be a reversal, and the reversal could be quite large. Okay, so when I come back down to our daily, we can obviously see, yeah, right now people are a bit fearful. Maybe that's the kind of fear that we want to be buying, right? Maybe we're going to pull back down a little bit lower. Again, this is outside of this move. If we hit the trigger point for the impulsive move, then that's something that we're going to have to acknowledge. Yeah, so hopefully we'll avoid that, but that comes in at $1.10.3. So what we're looking for now is buying pressure to come in here, but we want to basically continue to lower the volumes first, lower the stochastic RSI, not cross our $1.10.3, and then start to see buying action come in as we set a new higher low, for example. And this will then allow us to get some traction on those larger time frames. Now, you could completely see a complete U-turn on this, and we still could hit that daily target of 126.7. So we want to kind of acknowledge that there is a possibility of that. The larger time frames are basically indicating such a thing. But if something does change with the sentiment of those larger time frames, then we should acknowledge that actually there's a lower probability of it. Okay, so there's a probability of that move to the upside. I'm on the fence as to where I sit on this one at the moment because the data is conflicting. You've got some shorter term movements that could take us down into an impulsive move in the downward direction. Just because you hit that trigger point, though, it could easily be invalidated by moving higher than the wave 1 point, as indicated here, right? Because, essentially what we've done here is we've lost structure by going down lower than that fifth wave over there, that wave 1 high. So essentially, yeah, it can be invalidated pretty quickly. So we want to be open to the idea that, yes, we could see some volatility. Yes, it might hit an impulsive trigger to the downside, but if we have the right momentum on those larger time frames, we could completely see a 180 and a reversal on this and actually go ahead and hit the higher points. So we've got to be quite cautious. This is not something that I would be trading on right now. I think that Cardano, we need to see a little bit more data before we can really be making up a definitive decision as to which direction this is going to go. But after this move here, very, very complex move, basically an A wave down, a B wave, which was a triangle, and a breakdown from here and an impulsive move. And this could actually just end that entire structure and we could just move on out of here, right? Like I said, we've got a couple of things here that are no longer meeting the structure of what you would expect to see. So we could actually now be moving on out of here. Now we've actually completed that complex correction there. And with that done, we could, just continue to run. But I do think that there's a few variables that sit outside of Cardano, such as what Bitcoin does, right? And with Bitcoin pulling the market down in the way that it did yesterday, essentially is meaning that if Bitcoin continues to pull back down, which I think is a high probability, then essentially, Cardano will also pull down. So for now, I think we should be, openly optimistic, but also be preparing for potentially completing of a corrective move on the daily chart. On that note, I'm going to come up into our daily. So you can see what we were aiming for here was this high kind of impulsive trigger point. Still possible, and it could just be that this is a much deeper correction than required. But I'm at this point, I'm thinking that this is less and less likely. So on that note, I think, there might be some kind of ABC correction just to bring in our stochastic RSI from this overbought area to the oversold area. But again, I think there's going to be, it won't be straight lines. I think we've got enough kind of movement on our 4-hour and 8-hour stochastic RSIs to see that movement, slow and gradual rather than fast. And once that is done, though, with some kind of ABC, I do see the rest of the market moving up into their 5th wave moves, and Cardano will probably follow suit. So if this is not to go impulsive and we don't hit our trigger point of 126.7, essentially what you're going to have here is this is an ABC move, this being an ABC move, and then you'll probably have an ABC move, okay? And basically, these are just corrections, short term, no trends are being set, okay? So that's kind of really disappointing for Cardano, specifically after completing the expanding flat correction on the larger time frame. If I bring this up into our weekly, in fact, here, it is following the structure of our entire move here, but again, this what I think is an expanding flat correction is very, very disappointing to see, but nonetheless, we are where we are with it, and we'll have to monitor what happens next for Cardano. But I would like to have seen this potentially hit the impulsive move and then carry on from there. So guys, I'm going to leave the video there. I think for now, the best thing to do is kind of wait for more data to come readily available so that we can make more sense of what is going on here for Cardano. If you have found this video useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then do go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you are going to be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.